are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue, episode 256 here on Thursday, December 26th. Merry Christmas. Hope the holidays were good and continue to be good for you because the shows keep getting better and better. I mean, we just have more football to talk every single week. This week, no different. Now we're getting into what our playoff picture's looking like, who's fighting for home field, things of that nature. It's going to be a great show. The way it's going to look, Tim's going to start us off with a rant actually not in the NFL, on college football, going through kind of like the college football playoffs, some first reactions to the new 12-team format. It'll be a good one. We'll get into hits and misses from there to round out the first segment. Into the second, though, that's where we're going to have our Week 17 predictions, every pick for every game, along with the Week 17 bets on a budget, looking to recover from a horrific 0-5 week.
I don't want to talk about it. We're going to talk about it one more time throughout the show, but I don't want to. Let's not dwell on it. Yeah, next week, next rep.
Next pitch mentality here at The Issue. That is what it's going to look like, though. That's the show plan. Guys, no matter how you got here, we appreciate it, whether you are watching on Spotify, YouTube, or Amazon Prime Video, listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, of course, iHeartRadio, and the iHeartRadio app. We appreciate it, and this is The Issue.
Everybody... Don't get me wrong, NFL is king and king for a reason, but I love college football as well. You know, you watch for the prospects, the pageantry, the passion of the fan base, the home fields. That's what goes into college football. I think that's one of the things that makes it so unique is, yeah, you're a fan of the Steelers. You're not a Steeler, right? But there are people out there that, like, you went to Ohio State. You can call yourself a Buckeye. You can call yourself a Duck or a Gator, whatever, because you went there, right? There's a part of you, there's a growth that happens in college as a person, professionally, that you experience at that university that makes you feel like you're part of that university, you're part of that team, you're ingrained in that. And that's one of the reasons why we love college football, and that to me was why it was a huge success over the weekend, and everybody's freaking out for basically no reason. Let's take a chill pill, let's take a deep breath. Just because a team loses in the college football playoff, even by a lot, that's fine. Like SMU got crushed, whatever. That doesn't mean that they didn't deserve to go to the playoff or they don't deserve to be considered a good team. Tennessee is a very good team and a very good program, heading in the right direction with a young quarterback. That's a good team. And you're going to hear people say, oh, Tennessee had no business being there. They're terrible. They wouldn't win a game in the Big Ten. Like, no. Tennessee's a good program. Just relax. And since when did we see anything this weekend that we haven't seen? Okay, so a team from a slightly worse conference or division, went on the road and lost to a really, really good team. Yeah, that happens legit in every single sport. That happens all the time. You see the Falcons or whoever comes out of the NFC South, they're not a real contender. They're going to go get beat by, a Green Bay, or if they make it that far, they'd be beat by a Buffalo or a Kansas City. Right? They're not really considered a very good team. That happens all the time. Okay, so a young quarterback went on the road and lost to one of the best teams, the highest payroll in college football. Yeah, since when do young quarterbacks go on the road and win that game? Since when do young quarterbacks go into the shoe and win a very important game? Let's start with never and go from there. That is exactly what's supposed to happen. So, a team that snuck in late, right? Like Clemson. But they're not really that good. They got hot at the end of the year, and maybe more of a story than actual substance as a team. Then they lost on the road to one of the best rosters in college football. Yeah, that's kind of normal. Most people don't go on the road to Texas and win after having a 3-loss season. That just doesn't happen. That's not how it works. Oh, Indiana, Notre Dame. They lost by 10 on the road. Like, since when? That's the most losing program in Division I history. Over the course of time, they have the worst winning percentage. They've lost more games than any program in Power 5, now Power 4 history. Since when do they go on the road to one of the 10 best programs in college football? What's Notre Dame? Is that a top 5 program? At worst, a top 10 program in the history of college football. Since when does a team like Indiana go on the road and win that game in any important game? Like, I know Northern Illinois did it, but that, this is a playoff game in South Bend. That doesn't happen, right? And nothing has changed in the sport. Just take a deep breath. There's always, literally always, been a clear top 4 to 5 teams in college football at any given time. So let's rewind this 10 years. Do you really think one of Saban's teams, so they were the number 1 seed, they would have been anywhere in the top 5 seeds here in this 12-team bracket? They would have crushed Clemson. They would have. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They would have crushed the 6th best team. People always used to argue in the 14 playoff, well, should TCU be in at the 4? Or should we include Cincinnati? It doesn't matter. They're just signing up to get tail whipped by Bama. It didn't matter then. It doesn't matter now who the 12th seed is. You can argue about SMU and Clemson until you're blue in the face. It's just like arguing about Cincinnati and TCU. Who gets the right to get crushed by Georgia this year? Right? Who gets to sign up for that? So it doesn't matter. This is the same as it's always been. Just take a deep breath, regardless of transfers and NIL and whatever. And once again, it's year 1. Sure, it'll get better. I think there's some things they can change. I think they should reseed after the first round. It doesn't make any sense that Oregon had the best year and they get Ohio State in the second round, and Penn State gets to go play Boise in the Fiesta Bowl that nobody's going to watch. Like, no pressure on them. That doesn't make any sense. So there's some things they can change. But overall, playoff games on home campuses, those atmospheres were fantastic. These schools are making a ton of money, bringing in a ton of revenue for college football, for their conferences, to their little economies in these small college towns. People think Penn State's a big school. Yeah, go to State College. There ain't much there. There's not much there. They rely on those big crowds. That's a great economy boost for them. Ton of success to be had. Don't focus on the negative. So there were some blowouts. Does anybody know that in the NFL wildcard round last year, the average margin of victory, so the first round of playoffs in the NFL, first round of playoffs here in college football, first round in the NFL last year, 17.5 was the average margin of victory. 3 scores. Well, yeah, 3 scores. And then what were the home teams? 5-1. So yeah, college teams that may be not as good don't go on the road and beat the powers. Right? They don't hang in there. SMU never wins that game. Clemson has never had a shot historically. Indiana quite literally will never win one of those games, and I love Indiana. They will never win one of those football games. Take a deep breath. This is how college football has always been. You can argue about Ole Miss or SMU. It's just like arguing about TCU, Cincinnati. Both are just signing up to get beat by a better team.
Yeah. And you say that there's a clear, 4 to 5 best teams in college football. Same is true in the NFL. I mean, flip it back and look at that. If you're going to pound on the table and yell at college for it, well, I mean, is it not the same? We have, 4 teams in our Super Bowl bubble? 4 to 5?
Yeah, I mean,
at any given time.
Right, and I would say you definitely get more surprise in the NFL, but overall, you kind of know who's good.
Right.
So, I mean, we don't talk NBA, but have you seen the bottom 20 of the NBA? None of them, the bottom 25 stands no chance to win the title.
Yeah.
None.
Well, when we do our predictions, that's when it really comes out and becomes apparent to me. Like, when we're reading through some of these games, it's just like, well, yes, that's obvious and obvious and obvious. It's the same way in college football. It's the same way in the NFL.
Right. I would love to know our stats on when we agree. We know our splits. Mm-hmm. I bet when we agree, we're at 85% because it's not that hard to point out, that team can play.
Exactly.
It took us, 2 weeks to be the Jets are going to be bad this year. They're just not good at playing football, so they're probably not going to win a lot of games.
And we corrected on the Steelers rather quickly because you could see it coming.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, guys, let's go some more of where we were right and wrong. Hits and misses. Let's go.
All right, hit number 1. I feel like this is probably the 3rd year in a row where we've said, hey, this may be the Chargers' year because we are big fans of Justin Herbert. They have good talent, Bosa, Mack. In previous years, they had good receivers, your Keenan Allen, your Mike Williams. Always had decent enough O-lines. The O-line could always be better, but it's getting better. And now finally, this is the first year
with a real coach.
And we're now seeing what we've been kind of expecting to see the last couple years from Justin Herbert, from the Chargers. More efficiency, more winning, right? That's been the knock on Herbert. Nobody ever watches his game and goes, I don't think he's very good. That never happens. The issue is, why doesn't he win more? Right? Why doesn't he win more?
Because he got some of the most raw, natural talent in the NFL.
Correct. And now he's finally has a coach that can make that all work, right? Can rein him in when needed, can let him go when needed. has complementary football around them. This is the Chargers that we are finally right on. We've taken a miss for 3 years now. We're finally right on this Chargers. They probably are going to the playoffs. Do you think they can actually win a playoff game?
I think it depends on the seeding. I mean, obviously, it's going to come down to that, right?
So they're going to be the 6 or the 7. So can they go beat a Buffalo or Baltimore? Or Pittsburgh? Can they beat either?
I think they can beat Pittsburgh.
I think they can beat Pittsburgh.
I think they can beat Baltimore.
I think they can beat Baltimore. We saw them almost beat Baltimore. I think they can beat Baltimore.
Now, the thing is, like, it's just going to be Buffalo's going to be their problem.
I don't think they can beat Buffalo. They have to stay out of the... But they shouldn't be in the 7. They're pretty much locked into the 6. So can they beat Pittsburgh or Baltimore? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. One here. We're going to quickly breeze by it. Our bets were awful. There's just no excuses. Have to have it. Have to go at least 3-2 here to maintain that 60% through the rest of the year, because we're right on that border. Got to maintain the 3-2 at least. We're looking for more, obviously. Looking for more.
Looking for 5-0.
Looking for 5-0. We've only had one of those this year. We've only had the 1-0-5 as well, though. So we'll be fine. We'll rebound, but stay tuned.
Absolutely.
Hit number 2 here. This feels good for me. I'm not going to take anything away from C.J. Stroud, and I still think I would take C.J. over Bryce Young, but I did say in the draft process I like Bryce Young better. And I said I think it's unfair that we think he's this bad. There's no way he's that bad. And finally, I think we're seeing, he can make some plays. Like, he had one play where we're talking over the middle, in between defenders, takes a shot, somebody's crown of their helmet right to his chin, takes a shot and delivers a seed while he's doing it. And it was kind of from like a sidearm 3/4 type slot. Just really impressive. That's the Bryce we thought we were getting, right? Can run around, can make some plays, arm angles, good deep ball down the field. Reminds me of Kyler Murray, where he's not the biggest, but he's got a good arm, throws a beautiful ball. This is the Bryce Young we thought we were getting. I'm not saying he's a star by any means. The question I'll pose to you, do you think he's a franchise guy? I'll answer first. I think he is lower end franchise guy, almost like a Baker Mayfield. Drafted number 1 overall, but in the right situation, I think Baker's better. But Baker's a low-end franchise quarterback. Just like I would say Bryce Young is a low-end franchise quarterback.
I don't know. I think Baker's just... He's better. If Baker's a low-end franchise quarterback...
Baker's better.
If Baker's a low-end franchise quarterback, then I don't know what Bryce is.
Well, Baker's at the top of that tier.
His frame is small.
You're telling me he's markedly worse than Geno Smith in the same situation?
I don't know.
It's like that tier is lower-end franchise guys. Your Bakers, your Genos.
He's probably more
your Darnolds.
Comparable to...
I think Darnold's better, but...
He's more comparable to yeah.
So you're telling me he can't, over the next 7 or 8 years, go be... remember how Case Keenum was, pretty good for Washington?
If he gets
led Minnesota to a playoff win, I guess not a win, but a playoff berth. Can he be a high-end bridge quarterback, low-end franchise guy? I think that answer is yes.
His only hope is to get out of Carolina, because that's the only way it happens.
Right. So, for example, they're saying, hey, let's pay Brock Purdy $55 million. If I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm picking up the phone and saying, I'll give you a second for Bryce, and then you pay him $12 million bucks. Or what, he's making whatever he's making on the rookie deal. He's making $8 million. So triple it and give him you wouldn't give him $20 million to be in San Francisco.
I hate the undersized. I hate that he looks like a middle school quarterback.
I don't love it either, but have you seen him in the last month? He's been playing good football.
Yeah.
Playing good football, and Carolina sucks. Just saying. Miss number 2 here. I said Dallas would be really, really bad, and they were to start the year. It looked really good for me. I said they would finish under 500. They're still on pace to do that, but they're 7-8 now. They're one practice squad guy muffing that blocked punt thing against Cincinnati away from being 8-7 and winning 6 straight. They've won 5 of 6.
Cooper Rush.
I'm not saying I would take him again. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I don't even think he's a bridge quarterback. But if he is he one of the top 3 backups in the league?
Absolutely.
Probably. I would say him, Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, they're all up there.
I mean, the awkward thing is, though, they look better now with Cooper than they did with Dak in the early season.
At the beginning of the year. Yep. So now my question, because we know Dak's already signed. We're good. There's not a quarterback controversy. That's not even worth talking about. What do you do for the coach? Do you fire McCarthy? Because it's wow, they're fighting with all these injuries, they're actually playing well, but it's yeah, but he was part of the hole digging to start the year.
Yeah.
And it's imagine if they won 12 games, he lost in the first round again. Do you think he'd get fired?
Probably.
So then why would he not get fired if he goes 8-9, even though they showed some fight down the stretch?
Yeah.
To me, I would fire him. But I like McCarthy. I've been a McCarthy defender. I think he would get hired in 10 minutes on the market.
Right.
But clearly, it's not working in Dallas.
It's just, nothing's working in Dallas, and it's working better now than it was with Dak, and I think that points to major issues, because when you're paying your quarterback as much as you're paying Dak, now you're seeing how bad that deal is, because this is against Dak's value now. You always talk about you can see somebody's value when they're not on the field. When you take them out of the situation, then you see what their value was. I mean, Dak's been gone, and Cooper Rush is doing just fine. So
yeah, Cooper Rush has won more games this season for the Dallas Cowboys than Dak Prescott. So, hit number 3 here. We as a show have been a very big Matt Stafford supporter, and we've been a little bit low on Aaron Rodgers. They faced off. To me, it wasn't even close. And Aaron's been playing well for the last month. He's been playing well. I got to give him credit.
Yeah.
That Miami game, he's been playing really well for the last month. Down the stretch, and Stafford wasn't even great, but down the stretch when they had to have it, he made big throw after big throw when they needed it most. Third downs in the red zone. Plus territory, got to at least get into field goal range. Stafford kept making big throws, and we've talked about this before. We view Aaron up here because the MVPs and Stafford down here because I play for the Lions. But now the rings are equal. I know Aaron has the MVPs. Stafford doesn't. Aaron will go into history as the better quarterback historically. Think about it though.
Not by much.
Right. Like that's what. The gap isn't as wide as we had earlier in their careers
Because
may have thought.
Stafford's a gamer, man.
Stafford's a gamer, and Stafford has... We always talk about Aaron's delivery of the football. Stafford has one of the best arms in football. It's still at whatever, 36 he is or something like that.
Yep.
Still just a rocket of an arm.
Dude, he's a stud.
Are the Rams one of the toughest matchups in the NFC in terms of like the non-big contenders, right? Like we know the Vikings are tough. We know
absolutely
the Eagles are tough, etc. Of like the wild card teams.
Absolutely.
So your Tampas, your Atlantas, your Washingtons. I would say they're the most dangerous. I'd say they're the most dangerous of that pack.
When you have one of the best coaches in football and a hell of a veteran quarterback to go with it that's been there and done that, like, and a pretty damn good supporting cast too, like. That's a scary team to come and play in, December, January. That's going to be rough.
Yeah, this wild card race in the NFC is going to be very interesting, right? You have the Packers, the Vikings, the Commanders. You still have Seattle hanging around, right? Obviously, the Lions looking for the division, so it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Miss number 3 here. Been a big Jacksonville guy, just because I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. Even though he's hurt, I'm still kind of pulling for him a little bit. I think Doug Peterson's a good coach. I think he should also be fired, right? Like, just because I think he's a good coach doesn't mean I think he should retain his job. They've been abysmal now for, 2 years, basically. Last year wasn't very good. This year has been awful. And again, I know he's hurt, but they were really bad before he was hurt, right? So there's clearly a disconnect. And I don't want to put it all on Doug Peterson. I think it's more ownership. I think it's more institutional. Like, since when's Jacksonville been good?
I was going to say, it's just not a fit.
It's just not a fit, and I don't think anybody's a fit in Jacksonville. Of all we don't know if he's going to be fired, but let's assume he is. Of all the job openings, that one's pretty far down the list. Very far down the list.
Yeah.
Who wants to go play it? Who wants to go coach in Jacksonville?
Nobody.
Not a lot of people.
Now, that poses a question, too, just a little sidebar here before we wrap up. Would that be the first team to move to a different city? Would that be the next one?
Yeah, because, probably.
I mean, the market is minuscule. Man.
Yeah, it's pretty small. I would say that, or Tampa has a really big following, but that's another small market that I could see moving. But I don't think they will because they have a good fan base and they're good.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. They're even the stadium in Jacksonville, it just doesn't feel like an NFL stadium.
No, it doesn't.
Guys, anyway, that was hits and misses, and that was the first segment. So make sure you come back in the second. We will have our Week 17 predictions along with the Week 17 bets on a budget.
All right, welcome back in. Second segment. Merry Christmas. It's the day after Christmas, the 26th. Hope you enjoyed those Christmas Day games. We have our predictions coming up, obviously. It's Thursday. Christmas was Wednesday, so we don't predict those because, those already happened. So
hope you enjoyed them, though.
But nonetheless, we hope you guys had a great Christmas. What else is there? Kwanzaa, Hanukkah.
Well, that's today. Kwanzaa and Hanukkah
Passover.
are today.
I don't even know what. I don't know. I'm dense on all the other holidays, but have a happy other holiday as well. New Year, all that fun stuff. But we appreciate you getting here. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that fun stuff. Make sure you like, subscribe, review, leave some comments. We'll try to hop down in the comments or at least answer them on the show. If you have any glaring questions or topics to bring up, let us know.
Show's been good today so far.
I think so. We have to rebound with bets, though. If we don't rebound with bets, we might as well not even show up next week.
I mean, we should show up next week.
No, you know what? If we don't rebound with bets, we might as well not even show up. We might as well just start betting on women's volleyball because I make more money on that evidently the last week
That's
or two.
crazy. $25 bet. What was the bet? Was it just
25.
money line?
It was Penn State money line in the semifinal plus 250 something, plus 255 maybe.
There you go. You've been
Plus 250.
big into women's college volleyball.
It's huge. Love it. Love it when it comes tournament time. It's like March Madness, and I'll watch it until tournament time.
Good.
Cool. All right, let's predict because now we're talking about volleyball. We're off the ropes.
Yeah,
we're off the path.
Week 17 NFL bets. Every pick for every game. Let's go.
All right. So we have the Seahawks at the Bears. Does anybody like what? Let's put it this way: what unit is Chicago better than Seattle?
Let's go from nothing and start from and go from there.
I mean, long term, I like their quarterback better, but that doesn't mean like today they play tomorrow or whatever.
No, quarterback play isn't better in Chicago right now. So
exactly. So we'll go Seattle.
Yep.
All right, next one. We have the Chargers at the Patriots. Chargers are a better team. I'm getting the better quarterback. I'm getting the better coach. I'm very out on Gerard Mayo. I know they put up a good fight against Buffalo last week. I'm very out on him as a coach. I like Drake May a lot, but I think I'm getting the better quarterback. I know I'm getting the better quarterback. I know I'm getting the better coach. I'll take the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers all day on this one. There's nothing in New England that surprises me, shocks me, gives me any sort of hope. So, yeah, I'm going to go Chargers.
Broncos at the Bengals. I'm going to shock the world here to go with the Broncos. I know it seems crazy, but like
that's a hell of a game. I'm not gonna lie. That's not.
It's a really good game. You're right, but I feel like a lot of people are just. I mean, Cincinnati's favored by 3. To me, that's insane. Here's things that we know after 15 weeks of playing football. Cincinnati can't stop a nosebleed, and they lose football games more regularly than the Broncos.
Yeah.
The Broncos, conversely, have a very good defense, and they win more football games than they lose.
And those are things that we
know.
Offense.
Those are things we know after 15 weeks of football. So I'm going with the Broncos.
I'm going Cincinnati just because I do think they are going to catch something here towards the end of the season. Burrow has been playing well. It's just been the rest of the team that's been the issue. This is one of the games where it feels like a matchup thing. I'm going to take the Bengals, but I do agree. I think the line should be 1.5. I
think that's fair. That's fair. Cardinals at the Rams. I'm getting the better quarterback. I'm getting the better coach. They're at home, right? They come back from that kind of cross-country win. Arizona coming off a loss. I think the Rams just have more going for them right now. Does Arizona maybe, come down a little bit? They just got eliminated from the playoffs. They kind of, is there that much fire under their ass, per se?
No, and I also think when you have a coach like Sean McVay, like I was talking about earlier, it pays to have a great coach, especially at this point in the season. That's when you see coaching take over. That's when you see coaching win games, and the little details become important.
For sure. Raiders at the Saints, taking the Saints. I don't love it, but I guess I like whatever's going. I think they have a better roster than Vegas. Vegas is just so bad.
There's nothing in Vegas.
Cowboys at the Eagles. The Cowboys have been a cute story over the last 5 weeks, but the Eagles are a much, much better team. Much better team.
Now, are we getting Jalen? That's my question.
But to me, it doesn't really matter. They're coming back home. Now, we just talked about how Dak and Cooper Rush, are they markedly different? Not really, but Dak's better. Because it's Cooper Rush, I think I'd still be fine if it's Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
Kenny came in and played fine. Nobody ever said Kenny's awful at quarterback. Kenny's a good backup. Not great. He's not like we talked about earlier.
He's a bad starting quarterback. He's a bad starting quarterback.
Yeah. He's a top 10 backup in the league, though. He can go win you. If he has to start 2 games, can he win you 1?
I'll give you that he's a top backup. I'm taking the Eagles either way. I don't like the Cowboys here in this spot.
Yeah, and they're coming off a loss. Good teams that come off a really tough loss.
They're gonna roll Dallas.
Right. Colts at the Giants. Colts are a better team. Giants, I think, have quit on that locker room.
I mean, the Giants need to just quit playing football. It looks bad.
They've definitely quit on Dable, and I like Dable, but I think I'd probably move on. Just seeing that he's lost the locker room.
Now, real quick, does Dable get another job somewhere?
Absolutely. I think he'd get hired in 20 minutes.
Okay, good.
For sure.
With a better offense, maybe.
If I'm the Bears, I am praying that the Giants fire Brian Dable.
Yeah.
Jets at the Bills. Bills are a better team. I like I said all year, the Jets are bad at football because they're bad at football because they're not good at making plays. They're not good at winning games. That's why they don't win games.
Yeah, and Josh Allen is on fire right now.
Yeah. Titans at the Jags. This is one of those where I just ask you, hey, who do you like? I'll take the opposite because it doesn't even matter.
No.
Yeah, if
I'm
I die
going
on
Jags.
I'm taking the Titans. If I die on that hill, it's just as bad as dying on the Jacksonville hill.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the coin flip pick'em games. I'll fall on the side of Jacksonville.
Yeah, Bucks hosting the Panthers. Let's not overreact from a Panther win and a Buccaneer loss. I think it stays tight just because it's a divisional matchup. Tampa is still playing for something, and Carolina, of all the bad teams, still is playing with the most pride.
Yeah.
So I think it stays close, but I think Tampa's a better team. Feels like a very 27-20 type of game.
I'm going Tampa as well. I do think it'll be close. You'll see it in bets on the budget coming up. I'm just going to go Tampa for now.
Yeah. Dolphins at the Browns. Again, we'll talk about that more, bets on a budget, but we're also split on this one. I'm going to go ahead and take the Browns. I'm calling the upset here. Tua comes north, right? It's a 4:05 game, which we're in the same time zone as Cleveland. 4:05 means that sun is setting what? Midway through the second quarter. It's going to get cold. It's going to get windy. It's going to get blistering quickly. And Tua, I don't think they're going to be able to perform. I like Cleveland to win a bit of a slugfest, like a 16-13 type of game. I'm taking Cleveland.
I think Miami will win because Miami has significantly more talent, but I do like it to stay close. Tua in the cold weather bothers me. If he's anywhere above Maryland, I believe it becomes an issue.
Sure. Packers at the Vikings. I'm going with the Vikings slightly. I feel like I'm getting more consistent quarterback play. I love Jordan Love, but I think Sam's been more consistent so far this year, and I like the defense, the aggressive nature of Brian Flores. Can they throw a young-ish quarterback? Right, he's still a young guy. It's only his second year starting. Can they throw a young quarterback off his spot a little bit? I think so. I'll take the Vikings.
Yeah, I am going to go Vikings as well. Darnold's playing his ass off. That offense looks solid, and Darnold looks like a legit NFL quarterback right now. Like, I don't know what happened. He just suddenly became like top 5 in the league here.
Great coaching and a ton of talent. Real quick, let's go from Sam's side and then from the organization side. If you're Sam, would you take, let's say the market is dictating that he's worth $40 million for 3 years, right? So basically Daniel Jones, the 3 for 40,
yeah,
right? So 120 total. If the market says he's worth that, if you're Sam and they offer you 32 with more guaranteed, but they offer you 32 a year for 3 years, would you stay in Minnesota?
I'm staying in Minnesota because you're guaranteed, you have solid ownership, you have solid coaching, they're going to build a team around you. You already have good talent around you.
Justin Jefferson.
Stay with your number one. Stay where it's comfortable. Stay where it's good.
They look like Aikman and Irvin.
No,
they look unbelievable.
Because who will pay you a bunch of money? A shitty team. A shitty team will come pick you up and pay you a bunch of money. And then you'll waste away back down in Carolina.
Exactly. And there's now, so from the Vikings perspective, what if Sam won't budge off 40? Would you pay him? Would you sign Sam Darnold to a 3-year deal?
Yes.
I would too. What's the number?
Yes.
What's the number? Would you give him 40?
I would if all negotiations failed, I would settle and give him 40. But the sweet spot would be anywhere between that 38, 32 number.
Yeah, I think anywhere between 30
and 35. 35 is a beautiful contract.
I'd pay
for
Sam 35 tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow. At bare minimum, they can franchise tag him, so
for sure.
They'll see. Falcons at the Commanders. Commanders are. I think the Michael Penix thing was good. It was New York. The Giants again have quit, so I'm not fully buying in on the Penix thing after one start.
No,
I think going on the road again, windy, chilly. If you've never been to Maryland in the fall/winter, it's cold.
Upsetting.
It's so windy. It is so windy coming off the water. I like the Commanders at home. I know he's played in Washington. I know cold weather's not a thing, but going outside on the road, first time on the road in the NFL, I like the Commanders.
I'm going Commanders as well, please. I'll take them all day.
Lions at the Niners. The Niners have nothing to play for. The Lions have everything to play for. I'll go with the Lions.
Yeah, Lions. It's the more talented team. It's the more cohesive team at this point. Like, I feel like everything with San Francisco has been so up in the air this year.
Starting even in the offseason with Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk with the contract negotiations.
Exactly. And what did we say? That's another
noise.
Hit. When there's noise, it leads to problems. You're now seeing the 49ers have their worst season to date in the last 5 years?
Yeah, probably something. No, I mean they had that one really bad year with Jimmy G. I think it was exactly 5 years ago. But yeah, somewhere in that range. Yeah. Broncos. To go back through the splits. I have the Broncos. You have the Bengals. I have the Titans. You have the Jags. I'm taking the Browns at home. You have the Dolphins going to cold, blistering Cleveland.
That's a good one. I like those. Guys, for anybody that was keeping track there, by the way, we forgot to mention when we started.
Yeah.
I have clinched officially the win in predictions this year, up at a score of 10-6 right now.
We still have the tiara somewhere over there?
In individual picks at son of a... yeah, we'll find it. We'll have it for next week for sure. It's somewhere around here.
Yeah.
It's laying in the studio somewhere. But I did win. It feels good. We are now 2-2 all time. So now all tied up. It is over there.
I found it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Congrats. Good season. Hard fought. I just dug myself too deep of a hole. Started to come on late. Just dug myself into too deep of a hole in the early season. So
it's okay. That happens. You got to climb out,
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, bets on a budget time. We need to lock in for this one. 5 best spreads that we could find from around the league. Here we go.
So just before we start, obviously, a little caveat here. We've had time to get better and better and better with these bets, but the problem is, so have the people that set these lines. So has Vegas, right? Vegas has gotten better and better, and they have a better idea on these teams. They have more stats.
They're trying to get
more
us, dude.
data.
They're trying to get us.
It gets tougher to bet as the season goes on. It's really tough in the beginning because we don't really know what teams are. Mm-hmm. It's really tough at the end because Vegas gets very, very sharp. In the middle is where you can find success. So I'm not surprised, but we got to lock in here. Let's start with Seattle minus 3.5 at Chicago.
Yep.
Seattle coming off of a loss, a really, really hard-fought loss against Minnesota, kind of a last, couple drive type loss. They're going to come out with a vengeance. I don't think Chicago has quit, but I surely don't think they're all in it. I think there's people in that locker room that secretly would tell you they don't like Caleb. I think there's people in that locker room that secretly would tell you they don't like the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think everybody's kind of mailing in, hoping to get Vrabel next year to turn it around. So I don't think they fully quit like Dable and the Giants have, but I think there's some turbulence in the locker room. I'm going Seattle to kind of win a little bit of a route. I'm going to go 31-20. Seattle wins on the road at Chicago.
I do like that one a lot. There's no pop. There's no passion behind any sort of Chicago Bears football right now. The fan base is deflated. The entire operation's deflated. I'm going to take what I know to be at least a pretty solid force in Seattle and a good quarterback that'll get it done against an unproven rookie.
The Chargers -4 at New England. We have a rule on the show. -4s are
always take
they've been very kind to us this
Always
season.
take it.
Last week, a little bit rough. We got to get back on the horse, though. Better quarterback, better offensive line, better coach. I would say comparable defenses, maybe slightly better with the Chargers. I know they're going on the road. Don't think it's that much of a factor. I do think it stays somewhat close. I'm going to go 27-21. The Chargers win and cover.
I'm going Chargers just because I don't know who's scoring in New England. The offense is lacking any sort of semblance of what offenses usually have, and that is the ability to score touchdowns and talent.
Sure.
So there's a lot that I don't like in New England. On the flip side, there's a lot that I love in Los Angeles. I think the Chargers absolutely handle the Patriots this week.
Cleveland +6.5 versus Miami. First of all, Tua has never won in temperatures under 30 degrees. And he's certainly never covered 6.5 in 30 degrees.
No.
So it doesn't even make sense. I don't know exactly how cold it's going to be in Cleveland on Sunday. I'll do a quick search here. But I can't. I live in Pittsburgh, and the weather's not that much different. I can't imagine it being anything above 40. I think it's probably going to be rainy.
And you're on the lake. So you're getting the lake effect. Everybody knows it's colder closer to the water.
So on Sunday, it actually is a high of 51, but it is supposed to rain. Okay. So for those who don't live in the north... Sunday high of 51, low of 42. So it's not going to be too cold, but for those who live in the Northeast, 45 and rain feels like about 20, so I like Cleveland in that spot.
Yeah, I'm taking Cleveland, and I'm taking Cleveland to keep it close. I'm taking Miami in the game. Like I said, I do think Miami has enough talent to win, but I do think Tua plays down enough, especially in cold weather, especially late season. He doesn't deliver in the big moments. We just talked about it with Tua about, 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
He's not going to deliver in the big moment for you. I'm taking Cleveland to keep it close.
Carolina +8 at Tampa Bay. Again, I don't want to overreact to a Carolina win and a Tampa Bay loss.
No, because we still have Tampa winning.
Right, we still have Tampa winning, and 8's a lot of points. I still think Tampa wins. It's just a ton of points. Again, I said during predictions, it feels very 27-20 to me. I like Chuba Hubbard to be able to run the ball, play a little bit of keep away, and Tampa has had a bit of a turnover problem, especially fumbles late in games. Rashad White, Bucky Irving. So I like Carolina to keep it close, maybe a little backdoor cover if it's looking dicey. Carolina +8.
100% agree. I mean, at least they have they're scoring points now. Like, the offense looks like it's moving in the right direction. And like you said, Chuba going off last week. I mean, if we could see more of that, take some pressure off of Bryce, you'll be sitting pretty.
Final one here, Washington -4 versus Atlanta. Again, looking at the weather, 75% chance of precipitation. It's going to rain in D.C. like it always does. Wind coming off the water. Supposed to get a good amount of wind on Sunday. Gusts north of 20 miles an hour. So I like the better, more fundamentally sound football team. That's Washington at home, -4. And again, -4s are always our number.
Well, you don't like a rookie quarterback in that weather?
I don't like a rookie quarterback.
Against that defense?
Like, it's fine. I don't like the fact that it's a dome team in a dome/warm weather division where they play most of their games in warm or dome weather, and you're now going outside, rainy, windy, crappy, against a team that plays outside in that half the games they play, seemingly.
Yeah.
I'm not worried exactly about Penix because he's played in Washington. He's played in cold and rain. He played at Indiana. I think he'll be fine, but he's been in a dome for the last year, so we'll see.
Okay. I 100% agree with that. Run us back through the bets.
Seattle -3.5. LA, the Chargers, that is, -4 at New England. Cleveland +6.5. Carolina +8. Those are our two dogs. The number's just too big in both those games. And Washington -4. Again, always smack -4s.
Love that. Guys, those are the Week 17 bets, so go check them out. Guys, we promise we're going to be better. We can't have another
That one feels
week.
good to me. After doing it, that one feels even better after actually running through it.
Yeah.
Like, I know we were thinking these things, but like whenever you vocalize it, just feels even better.
Yeah, I agree. Trying to keep us over the 60% line here on bets for the year. But guys, we appreciate you watching to this point in the video. If you're still with us, make sure you go check out the website, theissuesports.com. All the social medias, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter. Go check it all out. It's all out there. Theissuesports.com is where you can find it. But guys, we will be back next week going over and predicting the last week of regular season football in the NFL. Crazy we are already at this point, but you're not going to want to miss it, and that was The Issue.